Mambo Team Africa Worldwide. Habari ya Sabui. I am back after a little bit of an hiatus. Uh, like everybody, just dealing with these lockdowns. I was in Texas when all of this COVID stuff first started jumping off. Now I'm back in Michigan, and as most of the nation knows, we have one of the tightest lockdowns. Our governor just extended our shelter at home or shelter in place uh, law until May 15th. Uh, just want to let everybody know what I've been up to and what's going on. As you can see, um, I have changed the name of the channel from Team Africa Worldwide to Team Swahili Worldwide. The purpose of me doing this is to uh, attempt to increase the subscriptions. What's been going on is I don't know if it's just an algorithm or what is going on, but YouTube has been redirecting people when they search for Team Africa Worldwide to find my channel. They get a list of videos for an old horrible animated movie called Team America, as if people don't know the difference between Team Africa Worldwide and Team America. Like, you couldn't have purposely wanted to type Team Africa Worldwide. And so there's a little link that pops up and says, this is the results for Team Africa. If you really want the results from Team America, if you really want the results for Team Africa Worldwide, click on this link. But most people don't see that. And so that has really slowed down my subscriptions. And so, therefore, we're still Team Africa Worldwide. That's who we are. That's still my name on IG. That's still my Gmail address. I'm your brother Konate. So I just want to give you updates on that. And the reason I chose Team Swahili Worldwide is because I'm learning Swahili. I posted several videos specifically about Kiswahili, and I hope that you all will learn the language with me. And I basically want Swahili I want the language to take over the continent of Africa, take over this diaspora, and even take over the world. And so instead of everybody speaking English or everybody speaking French or everybody speaking Arabic, everybody can speak Kiswahili, a beautiful Bantu language with a little bit of influence from various other languages. Number one being Arabic, also English, also Dutch, also German. So for the people that's saying that it's not a pure African language, all languages are influenced by other languages. There are actually Kiswahili words in English, such as safari. We think of safari specifically meaning going out into the wilderness to search for animals, but safari in Kiswahili simply means to take a trip. So, with that being said, I hope people won't um, continue to say just because Kiswahili has influences from Arabic that is not a pure African language. But it was created for the purpose of trade. Most of the people who speak it aren't specifically the people who are called Swahili people, but it's used as a lingua franca or a bridge language or a commerce language, which I have explained in other videos. Okay, with that being said, I just want to get into uh, this whole COVID thing for a little while. I've been quiet for so long because, to be honest, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on. I have some theories. I've been just sitting back, soaking everything up, and listening to other people and their theories. And I'm going to give a few of my thoughts now. Not saying I know anything. I mean, whatever ideas you may have about what's going on, feel free to leave those in the comments. I'm an open minded guy. I'm not closed minded. I'm not fixed to any one idea because the truth is, I don't know. Um, Based on what I think I know, the virus started in Wuhan, China. Some people say that the virus started in a wet market, and some people were eating bats. I also heard some people ate some pigs that were bitten by bats. We've also heard the theory that there is a laboratory in Wuhan, China, that studies viruses and that the virus was leaked. Some people think that it was actually a bioweapon. We've heard the theory of 5G. Um, Carrie Hilson, one celebrity that promoted that, and some others. And, um, and some people believe that, some people don't. Um, Also, the Chinese and the Iranians say that the virus actually started in the United States last year, and that people just weren't being diagnosed with coronavirus, they were being diagnosed with the flu and pneumonia. Um, and I think it can be a little bit of all of the above. I mean, I don't know if everybody's seen the picture where there are a bunch of blind men who are touching the elephant, and one grabs the tail and says, "Oh, I think this animal is like a long snake." And then another one grabs it by the leg and says, "Oh, I think this animal is something like a tree trunk," um, and another one feels the mouth and feels the long teeth and says, "I think that this animal is something like a lion." Uh, and actually, they're all right. They just have different pieces of the puzzle. None of them are wrong, just none of them have the complete story. And so um, I believe that 5G does have a negative effect on the human body. Uh, they said that with cell phones in the very beginning, way back in the 80s and the 90s. They said that cell phones were causing people to get tumors. And all of a sudden, that story went away and we didn't hear anything about it. And I guess they updated the phones. But, a lot of people came up with different ways to use their phones. I usually use my phone on a speaker. A lot of people use different types of Bluetooth devices. Some people just use wire earbuds. But I dated the doctor once who never ever put her ear to it, a cell phone, and she said it was bad for you. So I just followed her lead on that, and I just always use speaker ever since. Um, so I'm not going to totally dismiss 5G lowering the immune system, making you more susceptible to catch diseases. Um, we definitely know that if the virus didn't start in Wuhan, the biggest outbreak started in Wuhan. So how it got there, whether it was a wet market or a lab or brought in by American soldiers, as the Chinese claim, we don't know. But we know the outbreak came from there. So people got offended when Trump called it the Chinese virus. But I'm gonna go ahead and call it a Chinese virus too. Um, you know, this virus has affected a lot of people in my home city of Detroit, Michigan, a lot of black people. And so a lot of people say that that's due to our um, dietary habits, which cause pre existing conditions. Now, I'll be the first to admit that we have very bad um, eating habits in the African American community. And in Detroit, we have a lot of obesity, but at the same time, that explanation doesn't pan out to me. You see, America always wants to put a black face on everything that's bad. And historically, they've always attempted to harm us. Because what you have to know is that although there are um, ethnic groups that may typically, as a whole, eat better than African Americans, there are a lot of people of European descent who eat just as bad, if not worse, than us. There are a lot of people in the rural areas who they live off of pigs and and all types of bad food, all types of lard and fried food, and don't eat vegetables, and they're obese and they're overweight, and they might not have some of the exact same pre-existing conditions that we have. Well, you better believe they have them. I mean, I don't want to call any specific states out, but anybody who has gone on a road trip throughout America and you stopped at rest stops or going at gas stations have seen the people I'm talking about. Um, so there are a lot of places throughout America that should also have extremely high number of cases of corona if it's just if it's just based on bad eating habits and pre-existing conditions such as diabetes and obesity and high blood pressure. So I'm not fully going. I'm not saying I will exclude that explanation altogether, but I don't think that's the full explanation. Another thing is that even though I like to travel, this is somewhat a travel site. A lot of people in my city don't really travel. We stay right across the river from Canada, and there are a lot of people who live their whole lives in Detroit and never go to Canada. We live an hour drive from Toledo, Ohio. There's some people who live their whole lives in Detroit, never go to Toledo, Ohio, never been to Chicago. So these people, most of these people in Detroit have not been to China. I haven't been to China. I've been to South Korea, which is also an area that was highly contaminated, but that was years ago. I went to South Korea as part of some military training. But most people in Detroit, they haven't did any traveling to China, North Korea, Spain, Italy, and probably don't know anybody who's been to those areas. So how is it just going to spread rapidly like that just because people have some pre-existing health conditions? So I know where I'm going with this, so I don't need to say anymore. I'm just going to say that this is fishy. Um, and so they kept saying that it's going to be bad for Africa, it's going to be bad for Africa, it's going to be bad for Africa. And so far, Africa is holding up, and I pray to the Most High that they continue to hold up. Most of the African countries who have a significant number, those cases were brought in by Europeans. South Africa has the most uh, cases and on the continent, and they also have the largest number of residents from European descent. A lot of the other cases are in northern uh, Africa, where there are a lot of people of Arab descent, and that's closer to Europe, that's closer to Spain, that's closer to Italy. So of course, people are going back and forth. So why did we hear so much about Africa? Africa is going to be devastated by this pandemic. I believe it was probably because this is a bioweapon, and the plan was um, to depopulate Africa. Uh, I can't say exactly who. I can't just say the U.S. I just can't say China. I just can't say as a collaboration. Because one thing I've learned in my political, social economic maturity is that these nations and these governments don't always move lockstep together. Um, Plenty of times you have different groups um, jockeying for power within nations. They may, of course, they coordinate and come to certain agreement when it comes uh, to ruling the world, but at the same time, there's things they don't agree on, and so it may be a certain group of people in the U.S. who um, had an agreement with a certain group of people in China to help them release this bioweapon in Africa, and somehow it backfired. And that's what I believe. I believe that this was probably a weapon that was meant for us, and it backfired on them. Um, because I believe that Ebola was created in a lab, and it was meant for us. That didn't do devastation that they wanted. I believe that AIDS was created in a lab and was also a bioweapon. Most people know about the Tuskegee experiment in Alabama, where black people, black men, were giving uh, syphilis, and they were pretending to treat them. And they weren't treating them; they were just observing and allowing them to go home to give this disease to their wives, just to see what will happen. They've used us as guinea pigs on the continent and throughout the world for centuries now. So, for anybody that calls this a conspiracy theory, you need to look up the word conspiracy and the word theory. Um, it's not far fetched. It's if you know history is supposed to be the best teacher. If something happened once, it can happen again. If it happened twice, it can happen again. If it happened three times, you know it can happen again. So those are my views on that. Um, and I don't know the full plan. Some people thinking that we may be forced to take vaccines. I'm not gonna say for sure I wouldn't take a vaccine, but I'll do every effort not to. If the vaccine is optional, like the flu vaccine, then I'll opt out. Um, the only way I would probably take it is if they made it where I wouldn't be allowed to travel or I wouldn't be allowed to work. Then that would be kind of difficult. I don't know how to live off a grid. I don't own my own plane. So that would be kind of difficult to rebel against. But if it's optional, I wouldn't take a vaccine. I hope none of you take a vaccine. And I've also heard, along with the vaccine, to identify those who have been vaccinated, it may come with an identity chip. And a lot of people might think that that is far fetched, but it's not. Um, People who really, really love their pets, they and have money like that, they know that they have ID chips put into their pets. So if their pet ever gets lost, then they can find their pet. I've also heard rumors, which I don't know is true, is that the royal family has those chips just in case they get kidnapped or something. And we know there's chips in the credit cards and in the money. So why don't you think they will put a chip in you? Some people will volunteer for it. So don't think that's far fetched. Um, so this video is 20 minutes. I usually don't go too much more than 15 minutes. I try to do 15-minute videos, but I'm gonna have to change that number to 30 minutes because I'm starting to go over a lot quicker now. I hope that you got a little bit out of this. To be honest, I created this video just to kind of brush the cobwebs off because I hadn't posted one in a while, and I just want to get back into the groove of things. So with that being said, post in the comments, let me know what your views are on this situation. I will probably post another video talking about post-COVID, what we should do when things return to the new normal, because things will never be the same again, just like things didn't ever return to pre 9/11 conditions. The world forever changed after 9/11, and so the world is going to be forever changed after this. So we just have to see how it turns out. But I definitely, I'm more than likely going to do a video, a part two, just basically saying what we should do in response to this and to prepare for post-COVID life. So I used to always forget to say, um, hit the like button. Definitely hit the like button. Also subscribe and also hit the alarm so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And most of all, please share the content so other people can find out about the channel. And with that being said, in the Bantu words that mean goodbye for now, Kwaheri Kwasa, Kwaheri Kwasasa.